Don't downplay your skills. This is one of the biggest pet peeves that I have when I look at LinkedIn profiles or resumes or anything like this. People need to get hyped about themselves. You're trying to convince a recruiter or a hiring manager or anybody else that you can do a job, but you're not even comfortable in your own skin to be hyped about your skills. You're technical. Chase, you spend a lot of your free time doing Try Hack Me, right? And watching YouTube videos because you want to learn in this field, but then you're going to tell me that you don't have a technical background yet. Your imposter syndrome is stopping you from getting a job. If you're participating in those bug bounties on HackerOne and BugCrowd, you can put in here bug bounty, bug hunter, HackerOne, bug hunter, BugCrowd, right? And that right there, that pops out as you getting experience. One of the things that I think people, misconstrue in the definition of experience is that it has to be a paid job with an employer who hired you to be a penetration tester. And I think we need to break down that mentality about experience. And if you're a bug hunter on HackerOne or BugCrowd or Cobalt.io or Synack even, right? Or you're doing work for a mom and pop, as David mentioned, or you're even doing your own cybersecurity research, that is experience. Try Hack Me, Hack the Box, Range Force. Those are experiences that that you should be embracing and putting on here as taglines.
Let's get to the important piece, hacking LinkedIn profiles. So have you got some examples of LinkedIn profiles that you can critique, that you can give advice about, just to help everyone, hack the system, if you like, in a good way?
Absolutely, absolutely. And the people that we're going to show LinkedIn profiles today have given their permission either to David or myself to use their LinkedIn profiles as examples. And so I want to personally say thank you very much for that. I know how hard it can be to put yourself out there and receive some critique. And so this critique is given to you in a constructive fashion because I and David want to see you succeed in this business.
Definitely.
But know that the people who we are going to be showing LinkedIn profiles did go ahead and give their permission to see this. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you here, David. So this is the LinkedIn profile of a Mr. Brian Adams. Okay. One of the things I always maintain when we talk about LinkedIn profiles is that it needs to be a reflection of your resume to some extent. Again, remember in this world, and especially in a COVID world, where a lot of our interactions are digital, right? This LinkedIn profile needs to be a digital reflection of you as an individual. Okay. And so immediately when we land on this page, when we look at the profile of Brian Adams, we've got the nice landscape, which I think is fine. I think the background that you see up here across the top, I think that picturesque background on the mountains, that's probably not something I would stress too hard about. But immediately when I look at the profile picture of Brian Adams, I don't see a very professional looking image. It looks more like an image that you would find on Facebook or Instagram or something that's not nearly as professional as LinkedIn. And so almost immediately, I go straight to that and I say, okay, that picture's not very professional. It's not bad, and I don't want to discourage you from trying to appear, overly casual, but that's just not a picture that I think displays a very professional image when it comes to a LinkedIn profile.
Now, Neil, I disagree with you. Can you open up your LinkedIn profile? Because I think you've got a great example. I think that picture needs to be changed.
My picture needs to be changed?
No.
Brian here.
On Brian's image. Sorry, the background picture of the background picture of the mountains. That looks really nice, but I think you're wasting a lot of visual real estate. So looking at yours, I can see immediately who you are, and you're pointing people to social media stuff that you're doing. So like the Twitch stream stuff, I think is great. I think you need to use that kind of real estate as best as you can to get someone engaged in your profile. So it's a professional environment, LinkedIn. I think it's great to be casual, but I agree with you that the picture should be more professional, if you like. And I would change the background image to something like you've done, or some other profiles that we could look at perhaps. But it needs to be more professional. Like, what are you trying to accomplish with this profile? I mean, if I've got like 3 seconds to review your profile, it better be good.
So I think I know one of the other profiles that you're talking about. This guy's background is also very awesome here, and this is also what you're talking about here. Is it's it's a way for you to immediately see that you can consume multiple aspects of content from this individual.
Or even if you don't have like a lot of content out there, you want to be able to put yourself across very, very quickly, and there's no better way than pictures. Pictures worth 1,000 words. So if you
Absolutely.
Put something professional there of like experience that you've worked on, perhaps if I was working on Cisco devices or PABXs or stuff like that, I would put myself with a photo with that kind of equipment or something just to showcase my skills very, very quickly. Sorry, I don't know if you agree with that, but
no, I do agree with that. So and this is the value that I think your audience is getting from you and I doing this together, right? Which is, I looked at this and I said, if I had to pick one thing that I wanted to critique, I was going to critique the profile picture. You're choosing to critique this in addition to the profile picture, which I completely support. What I would say to somebody listening is, yes, if you can do this, that has a decent picture of you, and to David's point, something like something that's in your profession, then I think absolutely go for it. I think this is hard enough for people to do. I think this should be the low hanging fruit, right? So if you had to prioritize, fix your profile picture, make your profile picture look professional, and then help find somebody or try to think outside the box on how you make this picture pop about who you are. So I'd look at it more from like priority 1, Brian, let's fix your profile image. Then priority 2, let's fix this background image.
And I just want to say, because Brian submitted this to me, Brian, it's not a critique of you personally. It's to try and help you and everyone who's watching. You've got, the way I look at it, you've got 3 seconds to grab someone's attention. Make the most of those 3 seconds.
100%. Speaking of making the most of those 3 seconds, this was the next big thing that stuck out to me was, kind of this tagline, if you will, about who you are and what your expertise are, right? David talks about using this image space up here to give people that 3-second view of who you are. This is the next place that they're going to look after you grab their attention up here. And so in this profile, it's Big Phony doing neat Metaswitch HPBX stuff. Think about this from the recruiter's eyes. That doesn't resonate very well with the recruiter, who's probably going to be one of the first people that looks at your LinkedIn profile. And so I think this is a big miss right here. And if we're going to compare to, we don't have to compare it specifically to mine. We can compare it to this. You can see right here, this is, I deliver cybersecurity peace of mind and empower leadership to confidently execute business safely. Boom. You can immediately see what this individual is about right here inside of it. And then they drive them to their social medias and even have a hashtag that follows that. You can see similarly over here on mine. We talk about being a cyber streamer. You can see that I was on Bloomberg television show. I'm a practitioner and an advisor, which means I can either do the hands-on work or I can just advise you. And then I've got just this cool little Sun Tzu quote because, I like to be a little bit different, a little bit stand out. So 3 seconds, you're going to grab the attention up here, then move down here and look to grab their attention like, okay, this guy looks like he knows what he's talking about. What is he all about? And then that's where you're missing here inside of this tagline. So I'd say update that.
Yeah, and add more detail. I mean, use the space that you've got.
Yeah. I think you've got several hundred characters of space that you can use there in that tagline. You should really, capitalize on that. Do you want me to stick with one profile for now?
No, let's jump around because it's just about giving advice on different places. Yeah.
Okay, so one of the guys who's on my Twitch stream, Chase Golden, who participates in my Twitch stream very regularly, he volunteered his profile to use as well. And so again, likewise, he's got this picture here, obviously very tech savvy picture. It kind of pops as like somebody who's in tech. not a great profile picture, but at least he's got a tie on, and a collared shirt, and he's trying to smile. Chase, I'll give you some crap for that smile a little bit later on the stream. But you look at his tagline right down here, and you can see that he's put it in there, right? The very first thing is that he's transitioning military sometime around July 2021. So a recruiter can look at him and be like, okay, this guy's getting out of the military, so that's a good thing. And he's moving, we've probably got about 6 months that we can look to see if this individual is somebody that looks like he's a good fit for our organization. Now he puts his certs here in the tagline. I'm not a huge fan of certs, and actually one of the big notes that I took on this when I looked at Chase's was I think immediately you may be setting disqualifiers for yourself by putting any form of education or certification in that tagline. I think that's a bad place for that. And so I'm not a huge fan of throwing these into these taglines. But again, he puts in there that he's got an active clearance. That way, if he wants to continue to look for military jobs or cleared level jobs, then that's right up front. The other thing is that he talks about being an aspiring pen tester. Now, this is a huge pet peeve of mine. I'm not a fan of you advertising that you're an aspiring pen tester. Look, if you're self-taught, if you're following the 3 pieces of advice that I gave you guys, when we had the interview with David, right, where you're networking and you're doing your hands-on stuff, if you're participating in Capture the Flags, if you watch videos on hacking, if you practice it, right, and I had this question come up in my Twitch stream, is when can you call yourself an ethical hacker? When can you call yourself a penetration tester? If you feel like you embolden that image, don't put aspiring penetration tester, right? You can put something like, avid cybersecurity technologist, right? Or, self-taught ethical hacker, right? You put that type of stuff in your profile that says that you are the person that they are looking for, and they are the job, you are that person that they're looking to fill the role for. I don't like saying that you're an aspiring pen tester, because immediately when a recruiter sees that, their immediate reaction is, okay, you're not there yet. And that's probably not the image you want to give off to people when they look at your profile in those first 3 to 6 seconds.
So Neil, I want to ask you some questions if you don't mind.
Go for it.
I'm not in the US, so I'm not based in the US, so I don't know the culture. So you can better answer this question. Chasers in the military or transitioning from the military, how does it help or not help to actually take a photo of yourself in your military uniform? Because if I see someone, and this is just me looking at someone who's a military person and they're dressed in their full kit, it looks great. It looks great, but I don't know what is it like in the US?
Yeah, so that's a good question, and I think it's still a very mixed bag, right? There are some people who hire military folks because of the discipline, because of the regimented, way that they're analytical and they solve problems. Quite honestly, and I'll be 100% transparent on this, I've encountered people who say that they love to hire military folks because they follow orders.
Yeah,
and so the emboldenment image of you being in your military uniform, could serve really great purposes for that type of crowd. There are other people who are still very intimidated by the military. There are still people who look at a resume, and if they see that you're former military, they go, oh gosh, this is going to be filled with a whole lot of military lingo that I do not know what it even means, and I don't even know if this person is going to be a fit for the job, which is one of the biggest things that I try to coach people on when it comes to doing their resumes when they're transitioning out of the military, is we've got to strip all of that military lingo out so that you look like you're ready for civilian life. And so in my opinion, I think Chase's picture is actually very, very apt, because I think what it tells people is that, yes, he's transitioning military, but because he can put on a shirt and a tie and look professional, he's ready to be a civilian. and he's ready to talk the civilian lingo. He's ready to apply the core values that he learned in the Marine Corps. And I want to say, Chase, thank you very much for your service, and everybody, all the other military folks who watch, thank you very much for your service. But it shows that he's willing to take those core values from the Marines and apply them to a private organization without being overly military. So in this case, I think this is actually a really good image for Chase. And I don't think that, fundamentally you need to get all decked up in your military uniform to hit that wow factor.
I mean, that's great. So, I mean, there's good and bad, and you've got to, it can actually count against you and it can count for you. So that's good. That's good feedback. The other thing I wanted to ask you is, it says aspiring penetration tester. We've said hack the box, things like that are a way to get experience. But something I did when I started, and a lot of people do when they start, is they do work for free. So they become an apprentice, or, you go to small businesses and you tell them, look, I'll help you with your cybersecurity, stance or whatever. And I mean, businesses do the dumbest things. So, I mean, surely if we all know this. So, I mean, surely yes. if he volunteered his services for a small, what do you call it in the States? Mom and pop shops. Is that
mom and pop shop. Yeah.
So if you went and did some, help small businesses with their security, and it doesn't have to be complicated. That's experience, isn't it?
That is experience, but I want to, I don't want to downplay that by any stretch of the imagination. But you bring up, Hack the Box and Try Hack Me, and we've talked about this on your show where we've talked about like HackerOne, BugCrowd, Cobalt.io. Remember, those are places where you, regardless of your documented experience, you could literally have zero experience and you can go sign up for HackerOne and BugCrowd, and you can immediately jump into the bug bounty lifestyle. If you're participating in those bug bounties on HackerOne and BugCrowd, you can put in here bug bounty, bug hunter, HackerOne, bug hunter, BugCrowd, right? And that right there, that pops out as you getting experience. One of the things that I think people, misconstrue in the definition of experience is that it has to be a paid job with an employer who hired you to be a penetration tester. And I think we need to break down that mentality about experience. And if you're a bug hunter on HackerOne or BugCrowd or Cobalt.io or Synack even, right? Or you're doing work for a mom and pop, as David mentioned, or you're even doing your own cybersecurity research, that is experience. Try Hack Me, Hack the Box, Range Force. Those are experiences that you should be embracing and putting on here as taglines. Absolutely.
So, I mean, in other words, what you've said is basically, rather than saying aspiring penetration tester, he could say penetration tester if he's done some of that stuff. Or what term would you use there? Because I understand the aspiring stuff immediately says, okay, you're not there yet.
Yeah. I think I would drop the aspiring, and I would either leave it as penetration tester, because you're doing the job somewhere, somehow, for somebody, you're doing the job. So put penetration tester on there. I would put, if you're not doing the job, let's be honest, like if you're at a stage where you're not doing Try Hack Me, you're not doing Hack the Box, you haven't started doing your Range Force stuff, you're not there from a hands-on experience, then I would say, I would phrase it in terms of self-taught penetration tester, or self-taught ethical hacker, or something that has that ethical hacker or threat hunter or forensics person inside of your title, that still tries to grab them. But I would definitely drop the aspiring or future or anything like that. Don't put any doubt into that recruiter's mind that you can't do the job.
That's great. I mean, we'll talk about this for hours, Neil. So what else? Yeah. Scroll down and let's see a bit more about the...
Well, actually, I want to come back over to Brian's a little bit here, because I want to talk a little bit about Brian's, and then we'll compare and contrast it to something like Chase's. When we scroll down, so again, when we talk about this, we assume, like to David's point, 3 seconds you grabbed him with the banner, boom, another 3 seconds you grabbed him with the headline. They're going to scroll down, they're going to look at your profile. Now, this is something that when you look at this about page here, one of the things that I encourage folks to consider the about page as is very much a bio. And a bio is vastly different than, how most people are used to talking about themselves. When most people talk about themselves, they say I. And you can see this here in Brian's profile. I am passionate about resolving customer technical needs. I, in addition to work, I also, right, in my spare time, I. When you look over at, something like my bio, it's very third party. Neil has, right? Neil has. That's the difference between a bio and you talking about yourself. And the reason that that's important, the reason that I want folks to think about that is because sometimes mentally we have a hard time talking about ourselves. We're like, gosh, who wants to hear about me? Gosh, if I say I've done this and I've done that, then it feels like you're bragging about yourself, which you're worried may put yourself off as an egotistical person. And to get out of that mindset, it's much, much easier to think about somebody else. You've commissioned a writer, you've commissioned an author, you've commissioned, somebody to write your biography. They're going to write a bio about you. And so what I would encourage people is to take that biographical approach to their about sections and think about what somebody else would write about you in your about section. And what you'll find is that it flows a lot better. Brian is a passionate, technically, adept business person who's able to solve the solutions for customers and get to the root cause of issues. Right? That sounds a lot better than I am, because it's a different perspective, if you will. So in addition to that, when you go over here to Chase's and we kind of scroll down to his about section, it's a bit better. I mean, he still uses the I am, but when you look at actually some of the things that he puts inside of his about section, he talks about in this case, some of the certifications and some of the compliancy stuff that he has, because he's military, because he's transitioning military. I do think it's important that he puts in something like DoD 8570, which, if you're not aware of, is a requirement in the U.S. to work in some jobs. For instance, if you're going to do penetration testing for the military, you do have to have a DoD 8570 compliant certification. He reiterates his transitioning service in July of 2021. But this is where I think Chase loses in the about section, is with this one right here, right? I'm looking to gain experience and apply efforts towards a new role. I do not have the technical background yet, but that is not going to stop me. I like the idea of where you're going with this, Chase, but I don't like it putting on your bio like this. I think that that's the problem. One of the things that I think that this is problematic for is that we get back to if a recruiter has made it down this far, right here, you are immediately putting anybody who reads your profile off by saying you do not have a technical background. Don't do that. Don't do that. Even if you don't feel like you have what you consider a technical background, you're an aspiring pen tester. You've got CompTIA Network Plus. You've got Security Plus certifications.
You're technical.
You're technical. Don't downplay your skills. This is one of the biggest pet peeves that I have when I look at LinkedIn profiles or resumes or anything like this. People need to get hyped about themselves. You're trying to convince a recruiter or a hiring manager or anybody else that you can do a job, but you're not even comfortable in your own skin to be hyped about your skills. You're technical. You've got Network Plus. You've got Security Plus. You do try HackMe's. You do Hack the Box. You're on BugCrowd. You're on HackerOne. You can put a computer together. That's more technical than 90% of the people out there, right? Don't downplay your skills because you don't think that you're as technical as the guy next to you. That's what gets into imposter syndrome, which I would encourage you to go watch my video on imposter syndrome over on YouTube, because that's what you're displaying here. Is you're displaying openly for the world to see that you have imposter syndrome.
I just want to say this, Neil. I think it's a problem for a lot of technical people. We don't like to boast. And that, unfortunately, is something you have to overcome. You have to, like you said, and you said it well, you have to believe in yourself. You have to be your own best advocate, if you like. Because if you're not going to do it, who's going to shout for you? You've got to shout for yourself. And this is the right place to shout. there's a place and time to boast about yourself, and there's a place and time not to. And this is the place where you should. This is the place where you're trying to, showcase the very, very best of what you've got. So you need to be passionate and you need to boast about yourself. I can't think of a better word, but that's I think that's really important.
100%. I think you hit the nail on the head, right? We unfortunately in IT, cybersecurity, however you want to call it, we have two vastly opposite pendulums. We're either so egotistical that people hate us and despise us and they don't want to be around us, and we're kind of that toxic mentality in the cybersecurity space, or we're too humble and we're too, I just don't want to talk about myself. We're too not comfortable with that boasting that we don't get to shine on the things that make us awesome. I think that few of us are experts about finding that right balance in between. But when you look at something like this isn't an area where you want to be this person. It's better to get closer to this person over here, and this is the best place to do it. You should be talking about your accolades in here, right?
And the thing is, you've got only a few seconds to convince someone. They don't know you. They don't know you. They're going to judge you solely on what they see on this page. So you need to highlight everything that's good about yourself.
So on Saturday, I had Caitlin Ilkani from Battleship Security on my stream, and she runs a mentoring platform that is looking to try to innovate across all of cybersecurity with providing mentors. She gave a stat on that show with me on Saturday that I thought was insane. I'd never heard that stat before from any of the recruiters that I had on my stream. She said that 3% of the people who just cold send out resumes when they apply for a job application, only 3% of those people get to the job.
Wow.
Right? Just 3%. That means that's testament to what exactly you and I are trying to say, David, which is your LinkedIn profile, your networking, how you treat this platform is most likely accountable for the other 97% of the people who get jobs out there. And so, Chase, you spend a lot of your free time doing Try Hack Me, right? And watching YouTube videos because you want to learn in this field, but then you're going to tell me that you don't have a technical background yet. Your imposter syndrome is stopping you from getting a job.